Okay, so this this is intended for people who are in a distinct cutting phase. Now you are all welcome. So who knows that they are in a distinct dieting cutting phase? Meaning like we have taken your calories up, or we've said the words to you like you should expect to lose a pound to a half a pound to a pound a week if you follow our plan. Okay, so I see some of you. Who doesn't know? Who had got language like in their plan that was like, we're just going to we're going to work on your metabolism for a while. Megan, are you unsure?
I'm not sure. We're keeping
Okay.
the same, but I've definitely lost weight, and so I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Susan, I kind of just assume you're like we're reversing you just because I know you came from Weight Watchers.
Yeah, I'm reversing.
Okay. So Megan, I think I kind of know what your numbers are. And so I would say like, yeah, we're just kind of seeing how things are going with you. And so when we use the word diet or cut, I mean, we mean like a distinct, like we are putting you for sure what we know is in a calorie deficit. Sometimes if someone comes to us that hasn't tracked or like doesn't really know what they've been doing we just kind of have to see how your body will handle different calorie thresholds. Honestly, kind of even just changing up the macros and the nutrition of what you're eating can spark weight loss. So that's great, Megan. It doesn't necessarily mean that we've got you in a distinct cutting phase. We may just be like kind of getting your body regulated, but you can still lose weight in that phase. So it doesn't really, the goal of a cutting and dieting phase is to lose weight. Whether or not you're losing weight with what you're doing doesn't necessarily mean that you are in a cut. Does that make sense to everyone? And I know some of you have experienced this. Okay, so the kind of the tips and tricks that we're going to talk to you tonight are about like when you are in that cutting phase. So so I'm gonna, let's see, like Kim Dane, if I can pick on you, like we reversed Kim for what, 6 months?
Yeah, it was 6 months.
Brought her calories up. And now we're bringing them down with the distinct, by probably, I don't know, would she cut you at like 300 calories?
I think 400 calories less than I was at the end of the last session. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so the point is to lose weight, and we will only leave you in this cutting dieting phase for a short period of time. And I'll explain that in a minute, but I just wanted to get kind of level set as to who is actually in a cutting phase, because if you're reverse dieting, or I don't want you to, some of this stuff is not necessarily going to apply to you, but you can, you will soon hopefully be in a cutting phase or at some point with us, and you can apply it. But also just to give you a sense of, there's so much weird stuff out there. We really wanted to give you a sense of like what kind of a measured approach to and this is all from the bodybuilding world, but like I actually don't know how how they get weight off of Sports Illustrated models, but I'll explain kind of what the goal is. And so anyway, this is also just to give you a sense of like how the approach differs from what you might be floating across your Instagram or social media feeds, especially as we near spring break and swimsuit season. Krista, you had a question?
Yeah, and I just wanted to clarify, because I'm still reversing. Are you saying you'll do this again for those of us who maybe are still several weeks away, or should we listen in now? I guess I just
listen in now. If you want us to do it again, we will. I mean, I think you'll take something from this. But I just don't want you to get in your head like Joe said on Thursday night, go swap cauliflower rice for rice and think that you have to go do that, really, to any of you, but just know that there's a distinct difference from being in a cutting phase and a reverse phase. So just know that. Okay, let me share my screen. I was telling everyone, Lauren has a very sick child, so she may or may not be joining us. She wanted to join us, but I have her input, so I have her information to share. Okay, why is it doing this? There we go. Okay, so like I said, this is kind of a joke, like how to cut calories like a fit. I knew it would get you all here. So, but there is, there is an art to this, and I think one reason we wanted to do this is like if you went and worked with a dietitian or even like a trainer at your gym, if you have been through the process of cutting for a fitness competition, there is definitely an art to it. And you know how to buckle down and do it. And so a trainer at a gym is not necessarily going to know some of these tricks. I mean, and a lot of people have like cut, calories or tried to get lean for like a photo shoot or something, but there is a definite art to this and kind of a cadence to how it's done that I think that we probably have an advantage maybe over other macros coaches. And so we wanted to sort of give you that information. Nothing against the trainer at the gym or something, but like if you haven't been through this process, it's just different from just going on a diet or something. So let me get started here. Okay. So rules of Couture Fitness Cutting Club to even get in the club to cut. The first rule is you got to earn the right to diet. So this we have to have caloric runway to get you into a weight loss phase. So that means, what that really means is really a matter of math. We need about 500 calories that we can take away from your current calories to get any significant weight off of you that is going to stay off. And if you do the math, this will get about a pound off a week. And so you do the math on this. If you come to us eating 1,200, 1,500, or even 1,600 calories, we really will not cut anyone below 1,400 calories a day. Maybe at the bitter end of a cut where it's like you've got like one last pound that you want to lose, and we know we can get you in and get out of that low calorie range, but we're not going to start anyone off at a 1,400 calorie diet. It will do so much more damage than good. And also, once you get below 1,400 calories, most people's bodies do not respond well to that. And especially if you've been if you come to us at 1,600 calories, we've had a couple of people that were in that like 1,600 to 1,700 calorie range. They really, really desperately wanted to cut. It was a gigantic waste of time. So like I said, we need about 500 calories to be able to do what we need to do. So if you come to us really much below 1,800 calories, we have no runway with you. And your body's just going to fizzle out. You're not going to lose much weight, and you'll probably regain that weight. And it's just kind of, frankly, a big waste of time. And it does not matter if you think that you have weight to lose. That really has nothing to do with this mathematical equation. It's how many calories you're eating, and if we have 500 calories of runway with you. We aren't magicians. I would say that we are mathematicians. So, I get it. If you come to us eating 1,200 calories and you want to lose 50 pounds, like I really get that, but there's nothing we can do with you other than take you up. If we tell you that you need to reverse diet, listen to us. You should reverse diet. Again, we've had people who refused to do it. It was basically a gigantic waste of their time and our time. So do it and get it done. The quicker you get into that reverse and get those calories up, the quicker you're going to be able to cut. And you're going to have to end up reversing eventually. So if we tell you to reverse, please just listen to us. My motto is you want to get in and get out of a cut and get it done. So what that means is there's just a very short finite window that we have to get weight off of you before that metabolism is going to downward adapt. And if you have a dieting history, it's going to adapt very quickly. So if you say that we get you up to 2,000 calories, we start cutting you at 1,700 calories, within a few weeks your body is going to adjust to that 1,700 calories, and we'll have to adjust you downward. So if you do the whole roller coaster thing where you're eating 1,700 calories most of the week and then go blow it on the weekends, you're just kind of wasting your time, because your body's going to downward adapt to that 1,700 calories, but we're not going to get much weight off of you. So I mean, I just think you have to look at this as a finite period of time that you're going to be cutting, and we'll get you in. We'll get the weight off, as much weight off as we can in the time period that you have before things, you know, kind of peter out and get it done, and then get your calories right back up. Weekends count as much as weekdays. I know that's terrible news, but they do. And so you're going to have to grab, if you're in a cutting phase, you know, reverse dieting is a different story, but if you're in a cutting phase, you've got to grab a hold of those weekends if those are problematic for you. If you know you are historically in your OneDrive, like those weekends are blank, you need to start tracking your weekends. It matters more that you track those weekends than you track during the week. You've got to get a handle on the weekends. So maintain as much muscle as possible. So this is where the real kind of fitness model thing comes in. So like when I'm training for a fitness competition, the goal is to get fat off of me, to get body fat off of me. The goal is not just to lose pounds. The goal is to lose pounds of fat. And that's what all of you want, frankly. No one is showing me pictures of like women who are skinny fat. And so we want to get as much fat off of you while maintaining muscle. Now, every time you lose weight, you do lose a little bit of muscle, but we want to try and have you maintain as much muscle as possible while you are losing weight. And so sometimes losing fat means pounds on the scale, but sometimes, you know, it doesn't always. It's, you know, don't get too upset if the scale isn't moving down. People will get a number in their head as to how much they have to weigh, but what you would really probably want to shoot for is like a body fat percentage. That would probably be a better goal, especially if you have access to some place where you can get a body composition scan. You know, you can lose weight in different ways. You can lose water weight, you can lose muscle, you can lose fat. What you want to lose is fat, and we want to maintain as much muscle as possible. And we do that through your macronutrient nutrition, like those high protein macros that will help, having you lifting, not doing tons of cardio, all that's going to help you preserve your muscle. You got to be consistent. Your body is going to adapt to like whatever those consistent calories are. We talked about that. Give your coaches the data. I mean, we can't do much without data, especially in a cutting phase. It's like we need the data the most. Your macros do count while cutting. Like when you are reverse dieting, we often tell you like hit your protein goal and then let carbs and fat kind of fall where they do. Your macros do count while you are cutting. So pay attention to what your coaches have given you and try to be within 10 grams of the macros that your coaches give you on the fats and the carbs. And you have to start measuring things. It is very easy to think you're eating 4 ounces of chicken and be eating 8 ounces of chicken, or to think you're eating 4 ounces of chicken and to be eating 2 ounces of chicken. So measurements do count. So, you know, another thing I'll say in terms of like how we are going to diet you is most weird crash diets out there that are super low calorie and have you doing lots of cardio, that's just going to burn off your muscle, and it's a lot of water manipulation. So what's going to happen if you know why all of those crash diets are so terrible is that if you deplete your muscle, you're going to regain everything you lost and then some. That's going to have a very bad effect on your metabolism. Losing water weight, really, unless you are literally like, you know, 12% body fat and getting ready to get on a stage, losing a bunch of water weight is not going to change how your physique looks at all. So that's not even something to, it's not that it doesn't count, but like you don't want to, losing water weight isn't really losing anything. And so again, we are trying to preserve muscle and get fat off of you. So you want to have a solid strategy to do this, but I say that by the same token, let's go for the gusto and get off as much weight as we can during this small cutting phase that we have with you. So, you know, that's going to require some discipline and buckling down, but it doesn't mean like skipping wedding cake at your daughter's wedding. So there's got to be a balance between, you know, enjoying your life and enjoying the special moments and the discipline that's required during this time period. So like I said, you know, have the cake at your daughter's wedding, but this is not the time period if you're in a cutting phase that, you know, you're going to insist on having a bowl of ice cream every night. It's just not. So that's for when you're reverse dieting. And that, you know, we have your calories up for most of the year if you work with us. But just know that the pain here is going to be the intention and the discipline that's needed to kind of stay within your lanes and getting your hitting your macros. I think it's unlikely that you're going to be hungry, and your energy is probably going to be amazing. You might be hungry like for the first week that we cut you. Heather Landed, I wanted to ask you if you are starving this week.
Not at
No.
all.
Okay. Okay. So I mean, actually very few people are hungry when they work with us. Kim, how about you? Have you had a lot of hunger since we cut you?
In the beginning, yeah, I was starving, but
Okay.
it's gotten better, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, and it's hunger. It's not like complete depletion.
Yeah.
It's just
I was
you're
just so
hungry.
used to eating so much. I think it was like mental too, like I need more food, but you know,
Yeah.
I got
So
over it.
the biggest pain in the rear here is going to be mental. It's just discipline does not feel good all the time. It feels good after you've implemented it. During the moment, telling yourself no is not all that much fun. But I will tell you that you will love, love, love how you look if you follow our process and just do it. So that I think is universal. Okay. So like I said, part of this is kind of a serenity prayer thing, and you've got to manage what is in your control. What is in your control is your nutrition. That's pretty much the only thing that's in your control is the calories you are putting in your body. And I am praying for the day that Apple makes a watch that like counts those calories for you and tells you what macros that you've ingested. Maybe that will happen soon. But anyway, that's what is in your control. And then doing your exercise, like getting your steps in, consistently getting your resistance training in, not overdoing it on cardio, all of that's within your control. What is less and very much not so much in your control is like kind of the output, how much or how many calories your body is actually burning. I know that we are hardwired and conditioned to think that doing a bunch of cardio means that we're burning up a bunch of calories. Not true. Really, how many calories you're burning is mostly a product of what you've been doing over the last 2 to 5 years. And as we've said over and over, there are no quick fixes. It's that basal metabolic rate that is going to determine how many calories you burn in a given day. And really how quickly your body adapts to caloric levels is also, I mean, it's probably partly genetic. You don't have much control over that, and is largely tied to if you have been a chronic dieter. My body adapts very quickly to, you know, when I drop calories, it will adapt very quickly. And that is because I have screwed around for years, not eating enough. So that's just the way it is. You know, how your hormones or what your hormones are doing, you know, digestive issues, how your water weight fluctuates, you don't really have much control over that. And how your body loses weight. Some people are steady Eddie. Some people, it's like they hold, and then they'll drop 3 pounds in a day. Some people are a roller coaster. You don't really have much control over that. So I would just say make peace with that and just learn how your body loses weight so you can know, you know, that you're doing what you need to be doing. Okay. Tips and tricks. So you need to come up with the plan for how you're going to get through this. I really recommend having breakfast, lunch, and snacks mostly on repeat. You're going to want to kind of the formula you're going to want to follow with your meals and your snacks. Are you going to have a serving of protein, some fat, some carbs, and a fiber. And so let me try to think of like, so a mid-morning snack for me right now might be like turkey. That's my protein. A fat might be some like avocado. The carb might be like a rice cake, like smear the avocado on a rice cake. And this depends on how high my carbs are. My carbs are pretty high right now. And turkey on that. And the fiber would be, there's actually a lot of fiber in the avocado, but it might be like some broccoli or something, or some celery. That's would be an example of that formula. That's going to keep you really satiated and feeling good, and your blood sugar stable. So that's a good formula to follow. You're going to want to volumize your food as your calories are going down. This is a mental trick as much as anything. And so you're going to want to make low carb, low fat choices so you can eat more food. So for example, like if I'm getting low in carbs, I will have rice cakes with lunch versus like a sandwich with bread, because that will allow me to also have an apple. I'll have enough like carbs in reserve that I can also have an apple. So that's more volume of food to me. That's a trick. You're going to feel like you're eating more. You're going to want to make sure that your blood sugar is stable through this time period. So fiber is going to help you with that. And then casein protein sources. So that is like cottage cheese. And then there are some casein protein powders. I was actually going to talk about this during the coaching call on Saturday. I was going to do like a show and tell with different protein powders. So, casein is really helpful. Like if you get to the evening and you are starving, I've not had this happen, but maybe at the bitter end of like near a show where you're just like, and you like can't fall asleep. No one in our program has ever reported this happening, but if you are feeling hungry, I would incorporate some like cottage cheese into your diet. Casein is a very slow burning protein, and it's going to keep you satiated for longer and like really stabilize that blood sugar. So you're going to want to choose your protein and fat sources very intentionally during a cutting phase. So for me, like I try to choose animal protein over like, Kodiak cakes. Not to say that you can't, cut using Kodiak cakes, but for me, like turkey, ground beef, chicken. And the reason why eggs, really, the reason that I choose animal protein, it has a higher thermogenic property. So you're going to get actually a higher calorie burn by eating those products. It takes your body more energy to process them. It's going to cut out your cravings pretty significantly. That cholesterol from the animal protein really is going to help regulate your hormones during this time period. It's hard on your body to go into a dieting phase. And so that cholesterol is really going to help you. And then it is going to do, like your skin is going to look better than it has ever looked before. It's really going to tighten up your skin. If you are someone that's like, and then this is not like some magic trick or anything, but like it's going to help like with cellulite and all of that kind of stuff. So, I'll talk about kind of my rules for cutting season, but choose animal protein if you can. Now, I have eaten some super weird things for breakfast when I am getting ready for the last month before a show. I mean, I get that you may not want to eat like ground beef for breakfast. I totally get that, but like maybe work in some like turkey sausage or things like that. That's going to help you. Again, your fat sources, you're going to want to be very intentional about that. Avocado is a great fat source during a cutting period. Like I said, that animal cholesterol. So even if you replace some of your lean proteins with like what I call fatty proteins, so like chicken thighs, ground beef, salmon, that's going to really help you out. So like if that formula of protein, fat, a carb, and a fiber. So for dinner, if you had salmon or chicken thighs, that's going to be your fat source for the dinner, is the fat in those animal proteins. But you'll, like I said, it's going to keep you very full and feeling good. I would choose like fuller fat yogurts. If you're low on your fat, that's going to be a good fat source. And again, you're just going to, like, those fat sources your skin's going to never look better than it has before. It's going to help with hormone regulation, and it's going to help with digestion. Have an eating window. I would say, like, for me, I'm just done at 6 o'clock. I try to eat like in a 12-hour window period. This is just when I'm cutting. So I'm just done at dinner. And part of that is a mental trick. I don't need to be wondering like, well, what am I going to fit in for dessert tonight? Like, it's just, for me, it's like, well, we're done. Kitchen's closed. But it's also going to help with insulin regulation. It's going to give your body, every time you eat, it spikes insulin in your bloodstream. And it's just going to give your body a little bit of a break from that insulin in your bloodstream and help with speed up the fat loss. And like I said, sometimes it's just good to be done for the day. And then drink lots and lots of water. The rule is a half an ounce per body weight. So if you weigh, I'm terrible at math, 140 pounds, that's what, half of that is 70 pounds. You would drink 70 ounces of water. I would say you could not go wrong. This sounds like a ton, and you don't have to do this, but again, you're going to feel pretty amazing. You could drink like a gallon of water during a cutting phase. This is not mandatory, and you'll also get more steps in because you'll be walking to the bathroom a lot. But it's amazing what that water can do, and it's really going to help you like kind of process and get that fat off of your body. You're going to want to have some, if you're in a cutting phase, you're probably going to want to do a little bit of food prep. So things that you're going to want to have on hand, for Lauren, it might be different, but things I always have on hand are oatmeal, protein powder, like breakfast sausage. I eat a brand called Applegate, this really good chicken sausage, Greek yogurt, turkey, lots of cut up veggies like broccoli, zucchini, radish, what I would call non-starchy, like cruciferous vegetables, apples. I have Built bars, chicken, pork tenderloin, lean ground beef, low carb tortillas, low carb pizza crust, Laughing Cow cheese, egg whites, sweet potatoes, brown rice. Those are all just kind of staples that I have on hand during a cutting period. I usually try, full disclosure, I have someone that's doing food prep for me right now. But in the past, when I've done cutting, I usually try and make up 2 or 3 bulk protein recipes. And maybe like a pan of roasted vegetables and a pan of like roasted potatoes, or just have like a multiple servings of carbs. And the carbs I source during a cutting phase are like sweet potato, rice, couscous, quinoa. I don't love quinoa, and it has some protein, but it's fine. So you're just going to you can prep that all ahead of time. For bulk proteins, what I mean by that is like, marinated pork tenderloin, like cook that ahead of time. Buffalo chicken, and that can be as simple as like throwing some chicken breasts or chicken thighs in a crock pot with some buffalo sauce. Taco meat, lean ground beef or lean turkey with taco seasoning. These are all things that you can just have on hand. Frankly, if you did one huge prep session, you could freeze, half of these servings. So those are just things I like to have on hand. I mentioned the carbs, veggies, steamed asparagus, roasted broccoli, green beans, kale salad. Those are all things that you could prep ahead of time and just have available. But if you need ideas for different food combos or meal plans, check out our full day of eating blog posts. We really do try to vary those and includes all kinds of ideas. So anyway, but I think, you're going to have to invest some time in planning and prepping your food if you are in a cut, because you're not going to want to be eating out much. And, this is the time to invest in it, I guess is what I'm saying. Okay, how to deal with eating out while you're cutting. So you're going to want to pick, when you can, restaurants in MyFitnessPal, and a lot of them are in there. Just punch it in, and just, things that just look, it's funny to me, even now, like I'll pick something off a menu and punch it in and be like, geez, that's 3,000 calories and like 300 grams of fat. You just don't know until you look, and they add all kinds of stuff into, to make the food taste good at restaurants. Generally, I wouldn't say like you have to avoid eating out all the time, but make it like a special occasion. You don't want to be, this is not the time that you just want to be eating out for entertainment, I would say. If you get in a situation where you can't find anything, like you're at a restaurant that doesn't have anything in MyFitnessPal, I would recommend that you order a protein, a vegetable, and a carb, kind of that formula we talked about, versus a salad, because the salads will often have like blue cheese and bacon and all kinds of stuff. And you want to order these things prepared dry. So like you would order, your fish and ask the waitress to prepare it dry so that it doesn't come to you swimming in butter. So that's a trick. You can also always just order like a side salad that doesn't have like a bunch of croutons, cheese, bacon, and then like a chicken breast or something. That's another strategy you could use at a restaurant. Skip the appetizers, skip the bread basket, skip the added fats. Like I said, be careful of salads. So here are some ideas. I like to still feel like I'm eating out or doing something. So we do a lot of Chinese when I'm in a cutting phase. So the kids can get their lo mein. Most Chinese restaurants, you can get steamed chicken and vegetables. And then I put soy sauce and the spicy mustard on it. And that is really, really good. So that's, you know, I have yet to find a Chinese restaurant that can't do that. Chick-fil-A actually has a lot of great options if you choose to partake in Chick-fil-A. So their grilled chicken wrap is really good. Their grilled chicken sandwich, you can even get an extra like chicken breast, skip the cheese. Their grilled nuggets and kale salad actually has a really good macro profile. So, and everything is in MyFitnessPal. Starbucks, they have a great turkey bacon breakfast sandwich. Panera has some good options. So it's not that you can't eat out. I just wouldn't do it like as a just for fun. You do it sparingly because in a meaningful way, because you know it's kind of just not worth the pain in the rear and sabotaging yourself. Okay, alcohol. We're going to actually talk about this more on Sunday. So I always think it is so funny. I've had multiple conversations with women that tell me like, oh, I'm, you know, especially like for whatever reason, like when I'm doing a fitness company, oh, yes, I get what you're doing. You're cutting out carbs. I am too. I'm on a diet too. I'm cutting out carbs. And then we'll proceed to down a bottle of wine. Okay. Alcohol has carbs in it, guys. It has no nutritional value. Now, I love a good glass of wine, a good cocktail. I am not a teetotaler, but truly, you know, this is something that it's kind of like eating out. Like you kind of just have to take it into consideration. And if you're going to cut out an entire group of foods, if you have ever been keto or anything, then you can cut out alcohol. Yeah, you can. If you can cut out carbs, you can cut out alcohol. So that would be the only macronutrient group I would say that if you're going to cut something out completely, cut out alcohol. It is just totally empty calories. You're just going to have to determine how important it is to you. Honestly, 12 weeks is not that long to cut it out. And for some of you, if you cut it out completely, you may get your weight off, you know, in a shorter period of time, and then you can just start adding it back in. It really is not that long of a time to cut it out. So it does have a caloric impact. More importantly, it's going to make other things go haywire too. So it can make you very bloated. It really interferes with your sleep. Sleep is very important when you are trying to lose fat. It is one of the most important things. You've got to have good sleep and you've got to be able to sleep. And it just is going to do weird things in your body because your body, it is a toxin to your body. It is very hard for your body to process. So I always say, like, make that decision eyes wide open. And it's just, you know, like I said, we're good. We're not magicians. It's unlikely that you're going to be able to drink every night and lose weight. But it just is. You're going to want to drink the bare minimum during this time period. And that really, I mean, we see things start to go a little haywire when you get into 4 drinks a week. Partly because it's going to cut into other nutrition, especially as your calories go down. Like if you're at 1,500 calories cutting, you don't want 200 of your calories coming from wine. Like you're going to be missing out on protein or good carbs that are going to make you feel good. So, you just, you know, you have to think about that. And I think once you get there, you will be like, this is not worth it. Like I would rather have the chicken breast or the sweet potato than the wine, but you know, that's not everyone. And what I will say is, like, the first time I did a competition, so I just don't even go there when I'm trying, it's not worth the sabotage. And I remember thinking like, oh God, this is going to be really hard. It is not that big of a deal. And I just remember thinking, I remember last year when I was going, it was through my prep, I remember thinking like, my God, I feel amazing. And I realized it's because I'm not drinking anything. I was like, if people would like pay me, if I could put this in a pill, they would pay me, because I mean, I was sleeping so well, you're going to have so much energy. So some of us have just never let ourselves experience that. So that's kind of a silver lining of a cutting phase, is you might try it and like it. So I always say you learn so many things about yourself when you go through a true cutting phase. And that might be something you find out. Like I say, skipping the wine is not going to kill you or make you explode. It might be uncomfortable in the moment, but I promise you will live. The other thing though, it's like the cake. Don't skip the champagne toast at your son's wedding. It's not worth that. So unless that doesn't bother you, but like, you know, let's be reasonable in your choices. And we're not asking you to skip that sort of thing. Oh, Lauren's here. Yay. Lauren. Oh, I'll let her come on. So, but, and as you all know, you have to track it as a carb or a fat. So you have to track it. It's always the saddest day when people will be like, great news, I found this 0 carb wine spritzer. Like, no, it's just, there's just no like added carbs from like but it is a carb or a fat. So it does count. Hey, Lauren, pipe in. I'm not seeing you yet, but pipe in whenever you want. Okay, how to handle
Can
Hi.
you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. I don't know why you can't see me, but
Oh, there you are. Okay. I
Okay.
told them all that you had a sick baby, so, but we're glad you're
sick-
here.
one that refuses to take medicine right now. So we're gonna do some tricks as soon as he falls asleep because the
Oh.
fever's not coming down.
Poor baby. Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about vacation, so just pipe in
Hmm.
whenever you have thoughts. Okay,
Yep.
so vacation, you can go on vacation. So I would recommend like take some easy protein with you. What's going to happen if you, and it's very interesting to track on a vacation because you will quickly see your carbs and fats will go high very quickly. And then you will be like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the day and I got like 20 grams of protein. It's just hard to get protein in on vacation. So you're going to want to take some with you and you definitely are going to want to front load it.
Yes. So I just was in Disney last week, as most of you know. And so that is one I planned, right? So we were staying in a villa. So we had a kitchen. So I always did breakfast like before we left. We ordered groceries when we got there. And I just did a ton of like grab and go protein and put those in our backpack for the day. And like when I was going through the park, obviously like it's really hard to really know what's in everything. So like I would just do things that I knew had a lot of like clean protein in them. So like grilled chicken or, you know, and you have to be really careful. The other thing is like, you have to be careful with salads because salads aren't always like low in calories or fat. So when you order salads, like I always, you know, just really pay attention to what's in them and try to like leave it to like the greens, the vegetables, the protein that's in it. Really like pay attention to the cheese, pay attention to like all the other stuff that is not a protein or a vegetable. And when you're doing your dressing, you always get it on the side and always like what I like to do is kind of like dip as I go and you use a lot less dressing that way. So yeah, so just you can't really go wrong with salads like if you pay attention to them. Like
Yeah,
just
what I
pay attention to
recommended
them.
is like order the side salad that doesn't have all the and then order like a grilled protein with it.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grilled chicken, grilled salmon, grilled beef, whatever. That is just the easiest thing to do when you're out and about and definitely when you're traveling.
Yeah. So you're going to front load your protein. I mean, you may not hit your protein goal, but just definitely start getting it in early in the day. Most people get in tons of activity when they're on vacation, but go for lots of walks, just keep moving. Don't worry about missing your workouts. You know, I usually take vacations as like a deload week. Lift really hard until you go and then take that as a deload week. Drink lots and lots of water. And so it's, you know, we have definitely had people who've lost weight on vacations. I would not have that as a reasonable expectation. You know, a win is going to be if your weight kind of stays the same. And it'll come off, even if it spikes a little bit, if you get right back into your routine and kind of follow the tips that we just suggested, it's going to come right back off when you get home. Just do the best you can. But the other thing I would say is like, do not, if you are getting ready to go on the trip of a lifetime to Europe, like we went to Europe 2 summers ago and we're gone for 20 days. This is not the time to start a cutting phase. This would be a very, very dumb strategy, and just don't do it. I mean, you can always diet when you get back, but like Lauren did Disney on a diet. So just kind of choose your battles, I would say. And, you know, like, I know they're just, I had a couple of ladies who wanted to start cutting like right before Christmas, like, and it didn't really go well. They just, and it wasn't that they, you know, but there are Christmas parties. I think there's like not the focus, and it was kind of a wasted month of dieting. So just, you want to time your dieting pretty strategically. That being said, there is never, ever going to be a 12-week period where you don't have a weekend, a holiday, that you don't get invited to some social event. You're going to have to learn to deal with those situations. We're just not going to kick off a diet on the big trip to Europe or, you know, a 2-week cruise. So you're going to be setting yourself up for failure.
And I will say, like, when I was out of town last week, I mean, I didn't, like, I planned and I was, you know, I was in week 4, so I was kind of in the zone already. But like, I am not perfect either. Like, I had a bite of ice cream here or there, a bite of soft pretzel, or like a bite of whatever, you know, whatever yummy dessert like my family was having. And like, you do it so you don't feel deprived and then you get over it. I mean, because a lot of times, like, I got in a million gazillion steps last week. So like, it somewhat all comes out in the wash, but like, give yourself, like, you know, if you give yourself an inch, just don't take a mile, I guess. I mean,
yeah,
but don't deprive yourself. I've even dieted, like, during one prep, my husband and I, this is before we had kids, we went to this awesome vacation in California where we did Highway 1 while I was in bikini prep. And like, of course, there was a ton of activity and I brought my food and like, but we went to a winery one day and I had wine. I mean, it is a balance too. I mean, you don't want to get so caught up in it that like you don't enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah. You just have to be mindful of all of it and not get into the, well, I've blown it, so now we're really going to blow it. That's kind of the worst thing you can do.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here are my cutting tips. So these are the rules I employ when I'm getting ready for a fitness competition. And so I always like kind of come up with a new breakfast, lunch, and snack protocol. Just for me, it's like a way to reset. So like what I'm eating for breakfast, lunch, and snacks now is different than when I was reversing. And like I said, part of it is just I just need that mental break or change. It's like, okay, now we're in a new phase. We're not reversing anymore. So I don't get a refeed day, but I have one rest day where I'm not working out and I don't get as many calories that day. And so some people need like the break on the weekends. I need more food around to fuel workouts. And so that's really my priority, is that my nutrition is really like, I have enough nutrition to feel good on workout days. So if I did get a refeed day, like I would choose to do that on leg day versus a weekend. So that, I don't think any of you are doing anything so intense that you need to do that, but that's just, you do want to manage your energy so you have energy to work out. That's all I'm saying. Like I said earlier, volumize. You know, I use low carb wraps, low carb breads, that sort of thing. So I can like have an apple or fruit with lunch so I can eat more. I use low fat cheeses, spreads and stuff. So, and like half and half in my coffee instead of heavy whipping cream so that I can feel like I'm eating more. I first cut calories that I don't care about. So that might be like, I make my oatmeal with milk right now. When my calories get cut, I'll swap that milk for almond milk. I'm not going to notice the difference. There is a little bit different like protein profile there, but from a taste standpoint, I'm not going to notice that. So like almond milk for real milk, like if you love a bowl of cereal, you know, you could swap out almond milk for real milk. You're probably not going to notice that big of a difference. And I think almond milk has like no nutritional value, but it is like half the calories. It's like 20 calories, I think, per serving. Like I said, half and half for heavy whipping cream in my coffee. I mix cottage cheese with Greek yogurt. That is not that, you know, the cottage cheese has a little bit lower carb profile, is lower calories. You know, that is just like a little cut that I can make that make things go further. You know, if I have oatmeal for breakfast, you know, I might cut from like a half to a third cup of oatmeal. I'm not going to notice that. That's not going to feel like deprivation. When things get really bad, not bad, but when carbs get really low, like I will mix cauliflower rice and regular rice. So those are just little tricks that I have. I do try to find a few acceptable subs for cravings and treats. So I have a pizza sub. I think I've shared, I found these high protein pizza crusts. I have pizza sauce, turkey pepperoni, you know, fat, that feels like, I mean, that actually tastes like pizza to me. So that's fine. I don't, and then I might order my kids like a pizza from a pizza shop, and that works. You'll see when things get like at the bitter end, I make these cauliflower rice pancakes. You blend cauliflower rice and egg whites to a batter, and you can make pancakes with that, and it tastes like a pancake. I mean, most people aren't willing to do that, but that's like a little, you know, treat I have. Halo Top ice cream, Halo Top and diet root beer floats. These are all just little treats that I have, and they work for me. They work. I mentioned this earlier. So I limit, it's not really faux protein, but when I'm in a cut, I kind of only have 2 servings of non-meat protein. And so I learned this trick. So last year, at the end of my, like, I don't know, a month or so before my last fitness competitions, my coach called me and she's like, okay, no, all of your protein has to come from, like, it has to be meat based. And I was like, what? I was like, no more protein powder in my oatmeal. She's like, yeah, cut that out and do like a side of, like, I think she said pork tenderloin. I cried. I mean, I cried that morning. I was like, I cannot eat pork tenderloin for breakfast, but I did it. I kind of pulled myself together. I remember calling you, Lauren. I mean, I was like, I don't know what is going on, but I have never felt better. Like, I cut out all cravings. That animal protein will, like, you will not, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I have some protein powder in my oatmeal right now, and I have like one other, like, I'll have a Built bar or a Fairlife shake, and then everything else is animal protein. And I have to get 150 grams of carbs, but I mean, I have a sweet tooth. I mean, someone could walk by with a platter of donuts. I don't even think I would notice. I mean, it will cut all of your sugar cravings. It works really well. It's going to stabilize your blood sugar so well, and you will get very lean if you do that. The next thing is a mental trick. Like, I have to have an escape hatch. So Lauren and I are kind of similarly situated like this. Like, if you tell me to clear the hurdle, like, I have to do it. And so I will put so much pressure on myself, and then it doesn't end well. Like, if I can't clear the hurdle, it's like the Wicked Witch of the West melting down. So I have to remind myself, I have to take that pressure off, because it will be an implosion that is very bad for my family. It's not pretty. I won't ever quit. I will just implode, and, like, it will be very bad. So I have to constantly take the pressure off and remind myself, like, you know what? I am choosing to do this. I am choosing to do this show. I can stop cutting whenever I want. And this is totally something I am choosing to do. And that helps my brain. Some of you, that's not going to work. You're going to need to employ the opposite strategy. If you, like, if external pressure is not like a motivator for you, then maybe you want to apply a different mental strategy. But this is what helps me. If you are like a super overachiever type A, this might help you too. And then I always have to remember, like, the off meals, or for me, it's not so much off meals. I just grab ass a lot. Like, I'll, grab a handful of something walking by the counter. All that counts. It really does when you're cutting. So I have to remind myself of that. Lauren, here are your tips?
So number one, plan, and plan some more. What I mean by that is, and this looks different. So, like, and I'm kind of talking more to, like, some of my reversers right now that are getting ready to cut. Everything needs to be dialed in. So when I say plan, I also mean, like, everything needs to just get way more dialed in your cut. So, for instance, if you weren't doing like a real meal plan before ever, and you were just kind of eating food as you go and tracking as you go, it would be very advantageous at this point to really sit down and, like, plan out your meals, and, like, plan out when you're gonna have your protein, or maybe if, like, you can even plan your day around, like, a treat. Like, if you're gonna get, like, one of my clients loves, like, Yasso ice cream bars, so she plans her whole day around that. So everything it just requires a lot of planning. And I think I take this for granted sometimes, but, like, part of planning is making sure you are, like, measuring and knowing what you're actually eating. So the best way I like to do this, like, get a food scale and literally measure everything. It's going to seem really redundant at first, but after a while, you're just going to get used to it, because like, if you don't know exactly what you're putting into your body, and like, and all the output we see is like the weight you are or not losing, like, we don't know what to do. So like, all of those measurements, all of those numbers, they mean a lot. So part of planning is also like measuring and like really know what you're doing. The other thing about planning is, don't like track as you go during the day. Like, don't guess or anything, especially at first. Like, track as you're eating, so you know where you're at all day long. Eventually you might not have to do this. I still do this. I still track as I go, even though I tend to eat like the same foods all the time, especially when I'm cutting. You just need to know where you are at any given point during the day. If you're going to try to like just eat all day and then plug it in at night, that's not a good recipe. So that's kind of the first thing, and that's a very most important thing. So I know that a lot of you have heard me talk about in my reverse, like, I am not a like bougie eater, right? Like, Joe is the like snobby eater. I am the like, just give me whatever like that fills my macros. That's the easiest thing to grab. Well, that has to change during my cut, because you get hungrier, and so you need more voluminous foods, and more voluminous foods tend to be, that are low calorie, tend to be like more nutritious, like fruits and vegetables and whole grains, and like Joe was saying, meat, like protein that actually comes from meat and not from a bar. So not that like you have to have whole foods to like to do a flexible diet like we do, or a macro diet. But I think it helps a lot in reducing your cravings, and in just like making you feel never like, not like super, super hungry.
And your
Back
skin
to
is
the
going to
plan.
look amazing. I mean,
Oh yeah,
truly,
and yeah.
you will like
Make
the
a meal
results.
plan. Back to planning. Make a meal plan, like I said before, and rely on the same foods most of the time. Like, you don't have to be like, I don't know, Emeril Lagasse or some famous cook, because obviously I don't cook. So he's like, you know, from 20 years ago, whatever. You get what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be super creative. Like, eat the same things for breakfast and for your snacks and for lunch, and then like rotate dinners. Or what I like to do is like, I'll batch make things so I can just pick on it throughout the week. And so I know what I'm getting. Another thing I'm doing this cut, which I've never done before, I am going to get creative, and I am actually going to try some recipes from Lauren Fit Foodie and some of the other like awesome websites that some of you ladies use. So I was joking with Joe, this is gonna make a blooper reel. And so if you guys want to tune in and see how I can mess up like, you know, really expensive miracle noodles, yeah. Drink lots of water. This isn't so much like, it's not like because like a gallon of water is some miracle thing, but it will help with your hunger. And if you're really focused on getting your water in, you're not going to be as focused on like eating or like what you're missing out on.
You might get more steps in walking to the bathroom. I mentioned that earlier.
Yes. And the water really does like help like with bloat and flushing out your system. And let's be honest, like, lots of protein makes you not go to the bathroom very much. And like the water is going to help with that too. And then here is kind of like one of my tricks, like similar to like what Joe was talking about, like, and this is how I got through one of my competitions. So I had a meal plan 6 days a week, like a very strict meal plan. And on the 7th day, or 1 day a week, it wouldn't be that my macros would change, but I would like let myself have like whatever that fit in it. So just as like a mind trick, again, not that you have to have whole foods all the time, but maybe like 4, 5, 6 days a week, you know, have those really good whole foods. And then, you know, 1 or 2 days a week, let yourself fit in pizza or like the fun stuff. And there's tricks to fit in all of that stuff, right? You like front load your protein, you eat lots of fruits or lots of veggies throughout the day, lots of like salads, like actual good salads, not like the salads that have all the stuff on them. Well, I guess that's depending on how you define good, but you know, there's tricks to that. Don't do that every day though. Like, don't save all of your carbs and fat, especially when you're in a cutting phase, for like one meal, but you could do that once a week. And then
I don't know if these
Yeah.
are any of your actual cutting treats, but I know you've talked about some of these things.
Yep. So I used to have like a killer protein mug cake, like back in the day. I need to find one again. I do this like cottage cheese protein powder thing that tastes like cheesecake, or I think it tastes like cheesecake. You have to do it in a food processor and it's like really freaking messy. But if you do it in bulk, it's totally worth it. The protein pudding I did back in the day, I haven't done it in a long time. The Halo Top I do. I do not do Jello with cream and cottage cheese, but maybe
That's something I
that
would
could
do.
be. But I super lean on, and even during my like normal eating, I really lean on Greek yogurt. And I found this fabulous new Greek yogurt called Oikos Pro, and it's made with the same filtration or ultrafiltration that is in Fairlife, that Fairlife uses for their milk and their protein shakes, which makes their stuff taste so good and be such high protein. Oikos uses for one of their newer Greek yogurts. So it's so smooth and it's so good, and you can probably do lots of good stuff with it. Again, I am not the creative one. But if you are creative, there's like a ton of websites out there that have a lot of just, to me, mind-blowing recipes that taste really good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've thrown dinner parties during a cut. I mean, it can be done. You just have to be very mindful. Okay. Okay, mindset tips. I mean, you're just my best tip to you is that drop the resistance. I mean, there's no reason to be a victim here. Your macros are going to be what they are, and there are pros and cons of every macro level. Poverty macros, which is anything I would call 1400 below, that's not fun. That's not good for anyone, but this is a very short period of time. Higher macros days are coming, but there's no point in like, oh, I wish I was back at 2200 calories. It's just not going to serve you. And you can learn something about yourself at every macro level. Like, you really can. Like I said, this is not forever. This next one really helps me, especially when my calories get cut. You are still eating more and healthier than the majority of the population, and probably more than when you started with us. So whenever you start feeling bad about like, this is neurotic, or this is, I can't eat. Yes, you can. And it's probably much better nutrition than you've ever had before. So keep that in mind. The next one is like, you do not have forever to be in a cut. So make it count and do not fart around, because you can very quickly erase all of your gains by farting around. So don't do that. You will rarely regret staying on plan. You will almost always regret going off of plan, no matter how fun it sounds in the moment. That is just a universal truth. You're never going to blow it and wake up the next morning and say, thank God I did that. If you fail to plan, you're going to plan to fail. You cannot track the food in your head. You can't do it. I can't do it. I've been doing this for 5 years. You just track your dang food. And then your weight loss is not going to be linear. The scale is going to jump. You're not going to like steadily lose, a half a pound a day. And so don't let that damn scale sabotage you when it jumps and think that it's not working. So just be prepared for that. Okay.
In fact, on that note, like I will say with my clients this time around, and I've seen this last session, I didn't have a lot of cutting clients last session as much as I do this session. It seems that so what happens a lot of times is you'll lose 1 to 3 pounds initially, like right away. And that's just, bloat, honestly, from kind of getting your nutrition and your fitness in order at first. Then there's this terrible 3 to 4 weeks that follow that your weight doesn't move a lot sometimes. It happens. It's happening to me. It happened to me. It is happening to Joe. It happened to some of my clients. And everyone is dropping weight this week at it's insane.
I do think it might be this weight loss thing is when everyone's periods get in sync with the moon when you live together or something. I feel like the weight loss is too, because right around Christmas, everyone was gaining weight. Now everyone's losing it. It is true. So yeah, it is cyclical. It's not going to be linear, and you just have to make peace with that.
Yep.
So, okay. What role your coaches play in this whole process? So whenever I explain to people what it is like to lose weight for a fitness competition, now I have done every bad, terrible diet out there. So let me tell you, this is the only thing that works. Like in terms of, you can get like 5 pounds off doing keto or some dumb crash diet, but I've lost 20 to 30 pounds 2 or 3 times like in this method, and it works. Like you will lose weight consistently and it will stay off. And so, but your coach plays a big role in this. So how I try to explain this method of weight loss is kind of like bringing a plane in for landing. You don't crash the plane. All the crash diets and the keto are like crash landings of the plane, which will mean the plane, when it hits the ground, is going to go up in flames. It's going to get destroyed. And so what we are really kind of like your pilots, like bringing the plane in for landing. We're looking at the weather conditions. We're looking at, all of the data. We're reading the data, and helping you come in with a gradual, controlled, managed landing. And if you let us do that, when you hit the ground, your body's going to be in good condition and you're going to be ready to fly again very soon. So, like I said, we're kind of like the pilots bringing the plane into landing. We're looking at all the data, the weather conditions. We're pulling every lever that we can. We do have a lot of levers if you give us the data. We can get very, very creative at this point in, our coaching. Like reverse dieting, we're looking at things, but this is where we really have the time to shine. So please let us do that for you. We can see things objectively that you cannot see in the data. And I know this because I cannot trust myself to cut my own calories. I have a coach who does it because I get so squirrely in my brain. I think food is just emotional for most people. And I would do it. It would just be I can do it for other people and I can see it very objectively for other people. I don't do well doing it for myself. And so I still want a coach guiding me through, if I'm trying to get 20 pounds off or something, I'm going to want a coach guiding me through it. And so the other big thing is like, yes, there's a scientific piece to this. There's the data, but there's also a very large piece of this is behavioral. And we can help you manage that too. Like I will give you an example. So I have 2 clients who are cutting right now. Well, I have more than that, but 2. One is going on 2 big vacations during this cutting phase. And so I am using a very different strategy with her than another client I have who isn't going on vacation. So the one who's going on vacations, I have gotten very aggressive with her because I know she's going to have 2 breaks where they're going to be like diet breaks and we're going to give her body a break. But I know she wants, if we did not get the weight off, it would be very demoralizing to her before these vacations. So we're getting super dialed in and aggressive. But like I said, I know that she's going to have 1 week where she is not going to be doing that and we'll give her body a break. And that's how we're structuring it. I also know how she loses weight. I can see it in the data. The other client isn't going anywhere on vacation. So we're taking a much less aggressive approach and just kind of much more gradually bringing things down. We can tell when you're struggling, and we can, if you will tell us what's going on, we can help you employ different strategies. The other thing is you've got to give us the data because especially if you have been a chronic dieter, when you start cutting, we can see if there are bigger hormonal issues at play that need to be addressed. So, I've had that happen where, like I started cutting someone and the scale just went bananas. I mean, it was not just jumping around, it was like spiking. And so, yeah, there was a medical issue that needed to be addressed, but we can't see that if you don't give us the data. Or if you just say, screw this, it's not working, and run for the hills and we don't hear from you. So please don't ghost us. Even if you're frustrated, just tell us. We can help you. And like I said, this is where we get really creative and we can shine and we can help you. You just have to let us. So hopefully, to do that, you have to trust us. So hopefully, and if you don't, that's something you're going to have to evaluate as to whether, we're the right coaches for you, but we can help you for sure. And I just thought I would share our cutting protocols for you now. I don't want anyone to get off this call and be like, I'm going to do what Joe's doing. These are very calibrated to us and what we've been doing. So, and I just wanted to also give you a sense of like how different, it is all very couture and very customized to what your goal is and what your time frame is and what you've been doing before. So I am getting ready for a fitness competition at the end of April. So right now I'm at pretty high calories for a cut. I'm at 1740. I have 150 grams of protein, 180 grams of carb, and 40 grams of fat. So they're using a very, very low fat protocol with me. I'm lifting 6 times a week, doing upper and lower body splits. None of you need to start lifting 6 times a week. Please don't go do that. And if you decide you're going to do that, tell your coach. My nutrition is calibrated to that. Please don't do that unless you talk to your coach. And you frankly could probably injure yourself. You don't need to be doing that. I'm doing an hour of cardio per week. So I'm doing 3 10-minute upper body HIIT sessions. We're trying to, there's strategy to that. And then 1 Orange Theory fitness class, but I walk during the treadmill part so that it's less strenuous on my body. Getting 10 to 12,000 steps a day. And my goal is to lose 15 to 20 pounds and be at about 5% body fat. I'm about 20% body fat right now by April 24th. I will tell you, I've been at this for a month. I have lost 1 pound. So we'll see how it goes. You know, I think the rule, once you get pretty conditioned, it's hard to get weight off. So just know that, you know, it doesn't go perfectly for us either, but you know, I feel great. I feel great. I have nothing to complain about. So I'm just going to keep going and we'll see what happens. Lauren, you want to tell them about what you're doing right now?
So I am not doing a show. So this is purely, I mean, most of you probably know this, but I was a client before I was a coach. So I came to Joe and Allison last summer. I started in July, eating, like under eating, overworking out. I was working out about 5 or 6 hours intensely a week, eating about 1,100 calories a day, sometimes blowing out on the weekends. So roller coaster, and wasn't working. So I actually reversed, then maintained for a whole 6 months. So my calories got up to, I mean, I got them consistently up to 1,900 or 2,000 by the end of December. So when I went into my cut in January, this is like, I would say this is moderate. This isn't aggressive. This isn't like slow. This is kind of in between. So I'm eating 1,610 calories, 120 grams of protein, 170 carbs, and 55 fat. Compared to Joe's, like you can see that Joe's is much more targeted. I mean, there's more of an approach there. Mine is more, again, because it's lifestyle, and I'm fine with losing slowly. It's not like I'm really trying to like get my fat way low or my carbs way low or anything. This is a more balanced approach. So I lift 4 times a week and have been the whole time, you know, for a very long time, but consistently the whole time I've been doing Couture since last July. 45 minutes a week of cardio, which for me, that's amazing that I got my cardio that low. Because again, I was doing intense workout 5 to 6 hours a week. I have a step goal of 8,000. I did not have a step goal. I was reversing and maintaining, and I will tell you that makes a difference, which is crazy. And I thought, I mean, it really does make a difference to get things moving. Like Joe, like I'm at a pretty, like I've not lost like 5 pounds. I'm at about like 2 to 3 pounds. But the difference is when it comes off slowly, fat is truly coming off. Like when you're averaging, you know, a pound a week or so, you're not deteriorating your muscle. It's not like fake weight, water weight, like you really are pulling fat off. So that is, you know, I'm sure you guys have all seen like, this is a pound of fat and this is a pound of muscle. So it's like a more meaningful pounds. I have lost about 1 inch off my waist, which that is like such a great indicator for those ladies who like the scale is just not coming down. Your like your waist measurement is so telling. So if you know, I have horrible scale anxiety, which I've also had to like battle through this cut. But you know, grab a tape measure and like if it's not moving, just to like kind of see what's going on. It's just a really good indicator. So
yeah, I was going to ask you, are you losing 5 pounds a week?
No.
Or when you cut for a fitness competition, did you lose 5 or 10 pounds a week?
No. Actually, you know what? I was thinking about this the other day when we were talking. My first fitness competition, I don't think I lost for the first month. Like my body fat was going down and my measurements were going down, but I think it was 4 or 6 weeks before I actually lost weight the very first time. I competed. And then the second time, two different coaches, two different very coaching methods. I was in a shorter fit. It was just different. She lowered my calories really quick right away. But the first time I was training for like 16 or 18 weeks. The second time it was like literally I just wanted to get weight off. So it was like 9 or 10 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't nearly as like horrible to be in, like, you know, I was eating like 12 or 1300 calories for like 8 or 9 weeks, which I do not suggest for anybody. But just the point being, like, slow is fine. Slow is good. Yeah. Slow is what you want. Slow is what will sustain. Slow is what will like make it stay off.
Yeah, I mean, I lost like 5 pounds a week. The first one, I did keto once, and but it was all water. So the math does not work on that. I mean, we could not possibly put you in a big enough calorie deficit that, I mean, maybe if you weighed 400 pounds and we're eating like 5,000 calories a day, no one is doing that. So that's not a reasonable expectation for anyone. When getting ready for a show or now, are you drinking any special detox teas?
No.
Are you sipping on
hold on. Like at the end, you can't go to the bathroom, you do, but like in the normal course, no.
But you're not doing like a detox tea, like to lose weight. Okay.
No.
Are you sipping on bone broth or oat milk? I don't even know what oat milk is.
Have you done this? This is disgusting.
This is what I found on the internet for like how to lose weight. Are you doing a juice fast?
No.
Okay. Are you doing hours and hours of cardio?
No, and when I did, it ruined my body.
Are you fasting?
No.
I would say quite the opposite. Okay. Any special pills or fat burners that you're taking right now to lose weight?
This is the first time ever too, ladies. Like, I have every other time I think I've cut, well, yeah, I've always had some supplement. Like right now I am not even, because I have good energy. I don't even have to take a pre-workout. This is the first time ever I've cut without a pre-workout.
Yeah. Okay. And you're not employing like Whole30, keto, or paleo. You're eating all the food groups.
Eating all the food groups.
I told them the only macro, if you're going to cut out a macro, cut out alcohol. That's the only thing you need to cut out.
Yeah, I would like alcohol, man. So like, it's so hard. So I'm not a big drinker. So it's really, I feel like such a killjoy when I tell my clients, like, can't you just not drink, like, just for this 12 weeks? But it has no nutritional value and it leads to really bad choices because you get so hungry after you drink. Again, like, you can't, not that we want you to live like this forever, but like, this is like 12, 13, 14 weeks and you can add it back. But if you want like your optimal fat burning, you know, your body to like optimally burn fat, alcohol just gets in the way of that because it just has no nutritional value. No matter how dehydrated you get after you drink wine, you feel so skinny, it's not real. I promise.
Okay, that's what we got. What questions do you guys have? We'll answer anything.
Mine's not really a question, but Allison's tip about measuring out the peanut butter is like, that was so helpful. I've never thought about that before. Now I can't even find it, but like zeroing out the scale with it on there, it was wonderful.
Because just as a measure, how to measure it, or because you were overeating it?
Because I was overeating it, and plus putting it into a little thing to measure it, I never got it all out and it was a mess. Where if you just put it on and let it zero out and then subtract your 16 grams, that was just awesome. It's just silly to get me excited, but that makes life so much easier.
Yeah, that should have been a tip we put. You got to measure your nut butters and your nuts. You can't just graze on
measure everything. You have to measure, learn how to use whatever scale you buy, learn how to use it. Even like, especially with high caloric things like nut butters. I know it says like 2 tablespoons or a tablespoon or whatever the serving is. Don't try to measure a tablespoon. Like, look at the grams, weigh it on the scale, because like even that is it a heaping tablespoon or is it like, you know, so yeah, like it's just in your cut, just measure.
Because the amounts look so much different. Like, I would put a scoop on my protein cake if I had enough fat at the end of the day. And what I'm using now is so much less than the tablespoon I thought I was using. So that was a big thing for me.
Yep.
And Lauren, all your tips for Disney were a huge, huge, huge help. I mean, not only did we feel better because we were eating healthier, we saved so much money.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I cannot, Disney's so expensive. That's a whole other like PowerPoint.
Yeah. So thank you. They were a huge, huge help.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone have anything that they're worried about, like coming up in their cut that's like got you stressed out? Amy, I know you were going to Disneyland, right?
Yeah, I'm not too concerned because like I said, I did code red there. And so that was like starving.
Yeah, it really does get easier. I mean, I don't want any of you to like have to go through several cutting cycles, but I mean, we're going to an all-inclusive in Mexico. It's just, number one, I'm just not going to worry about that. I mean, there's no need for me to worry about that for 6 weeks before we go, but it's not even, it'll be fine. You can almost always find something. Maybe not. I went to Nashville. I was not worried about dieting, but I went to Nashville earlier this fall. Now there was a shortage of food workers, so there was like there was no food there. That was the one time that I was like, oh God, like there's nothing to eat but pizza because nothing was open. But even then, I don't know why. I could have driven to a grocery store and gotten myself some turkey and apple or something.
I went to Washington. I went to DC over this summer when I was in my reverse, but I was still not at like optimal calories. I mean, I think, which also crazy. I think I was probably like 1,700 calories, which is only 100 more than I'm having now. And God, it felt like so much food then. It so does not feel like a lot of food right now when you're on the way down. But in DC, like I was surprised that first of all, everything, you have to walk for everything, right? But if I didn't like capitalize, like when I saw something healthy and I didn't capitalize on it, then I had no idea how many more blocks or miles it was going to be until I had another healthy option. So that was stressful. And so I learned from that trip, like for Disney, like I'm just going to pack like act as if there's going to be no food there.
Yeah, and then the other thing I was going to talk to you guys about, like if there's some anxiety about like, oh my God, you know, what if I can't get all my weight off over this 12 weeks or something? Don't worry about it. You can't will your body to lose weight. All you can do is control those inputs that you have control over. But a lot of people continue losing weight. Like Brooke, I don't know if you did, but like when we reverse you out of this, people will continue to lose weight. So just do what you need to do during this cut and don't worry about like how fast it's coming off or if you're going to get it all off during it. And it's weird because a pound a week probably doesn't sound that much. But then you'll get to the end, you'll be like, oh my God, I lost like 20 pounds. It's I don't know how the math works out, but it does. So Brooke, like Brooke and Amy, you've been through a cutting phase before. Any advice for like with us, any advice? And Jessica?
I don't know. I listened to your coaching call from last Saturday and I was, just the mental challenge, like, she's like Lauren said, oh, the first 5 pounds came off like that. This week, I'm losing and gaining the same, like, 0.2, 0.4 pounds. I'm like, is my body already fighting me? I'm only 4 weeks in. I want to get this off. And I'm like, okay, calm down. And the good thing is I have the data from July on. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to go back. And I'm going to see in the first 4 weeks of the original cut, how much did I lose? Well, it was less than I've lost this time. So like, it's just helping me reset, So anyway, not a lot of good advice. I think I got it and I'm in a good headspace. And then something happens and you're like, all right, I'm going to rewatch that. I'm going to re-listen to the podcast. I'm going to go to the coaching call. So anyway, it's just good to have support and hear everybody else because you're not by yourself.
I think dieting is lonely. I'm not experiencing that now, but it is. It's kind of like, oh God,
Yeah.
it's just kind of evokes loneliness or something, but you'll get through it. It will be fine. And yeah, I mean, you're not, I think it does help to have the group because you're like, okay, I'm not the only one that's going to go to Super Bowl and figure this out, which
Right.
by the way, we are publishing, I think it gets published tomorrow morning, a Super Bowl menu for you guys on our blog, and it's really good stuff. So you can even survive Super Bowl on a cut.
And I will say too, like when you get through, it takes, you know, getting through a couple of those events, whether it's the first vacation you're cutting on or like the first, you know, like social event you're cutting on. When you get through that, it is such a confidence booster. Like you feel so good about yourself knowing that like that's under your belt and you've done it and like you didn't die and like you really don't even look back and feel like you lost out on that much. I mean, so like before we went to Disney, it was one of my best friend's husband's 40th birthday. And so I'm like, God, like I'm gonna have to go and like, but you know what? Like I ate before I went. They had like some chicken appetizer that I had, you know, like a skewer. So I did that. And then I had, oh, another one. Okay, if you're going to drink, wine spritzers are great because like they have volume and like there's just a little bit of wine in them and then you can carry it around all night and plus there's water-ish in it so like you get full. But anyway, I had some wine spritzers and I had my like, you know, one chicken skewer because I ate before and like no one noticed, like I wasn't dwelling on it and I got through it and it felt really good the next day.
Amy, any thoughts or advice? You've done some crazy stuff like I have. So how is this compared to crazy diets?
Easy. No, I don't really have any.
Okay.
No.
Any reverse dieters have questions? I will say Lauren and I both agree on this. Like reverse dieting is the time to practice getting really good at hitting your macros. I mean, you don't have to hit them perfectly, but like I'll put it this way, if you can't hit them when you're reverse dieting, a cut is going to be a very rude awakening for you. I will just say that. So practice while the calories are high.
Yes, because you can form all those good habits. So you're not trying to form the good habits, you know, at the same time you're cutting. Because that's, I think Joe said it earlier, like the grass is always greener, right? Like but there's always, you know, it's just all how you look at it. So, you know, if you're reversing, be thankful that like you're building the habits as you're reversing so that the cut will be easier, even though like you know, there's like the delayed gratification of losing weight. And, you know, if you're cutting, like be thankful that you were in a place to cut first and you didn't have to like reverse first. I mean, just, it's all perspective.
Mm-hmm. Allie, I see you on here. You're a pro. Do you have any advice for anyone?
Yeah.
Hey guys, I am on here. I'm trying to think. I think just well, like I mean all the swaps, right? Like I'm a person who likes cauliflower rice, but I know it makes some people gag. So and those low carb wraps and like just yeah, all that stuff. I don't know, but I agree with Lauren. Once since I'm kind of through it, I came on the call because I'd like to do it again before the summer just to like, I don't know, get things a little tighter. But I feel like a real big sense of accomplishment. And I completely agree about all the like just feeling great, feeling much better and stuff like that. I do feel like I should send you a picture, Joe. I don't want to do it because it's just so awful of me. But like the like days before I started this program and when you keep saying stuff about the skin glowing, like I mean my skin was just like gray and dull and ugh, it wasn't good. I just feel so much better and having done it once before, I think it'll be, you know, easier.
Yeah,
Hang on just a sec, sweetie.
It's funny,
easier.
The skin thing is a real thing because I remember
Mama.
I guess I haven't been out in public that much, but I remember last January, like a month into my cut, I would go to like the grocery store, zero makeup on, and I had people stop me in the store, not commenting on, they're like, what is your skincare regimen? And I'm like, nothing. I mean, your skin is going to like glow. You will love how you look and feel if you just stick with this.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So Joe, I have something that I think might be interesting for other people to see. I have on my Fitness Pal, my weight log, I log every day, and it shows what you're talking about, the up and down that you could see. And I could show people on my phone. I think it'll show pretty clearly, but it'll give people an idea of what I went through with my weight going up and down, and just something so that they could be prepared for it.
Could you take a picture and like post it in the Facebook group?
Yeah,
That might be the easiest. Yeah. No,
Okay.
it is. And here's my rule. Here's my mental rule. So, and I think this is true, and it's what I look for in my clients is that, so like I hit a low, I look for lows every week, like everyone hitting a new low, whether that's in a measurement or the scale. So if you're hitting a new low every week, then I know you're losing weight, even if the scale jumps right back up. So I hit a low like of 153.8 on Sunday. But I mean, the scale has floated right back up to 156 every day since then. But my rule for myself is that I really weigh 153.8. Like I give myself that 153.8 because it's kind of makes sense, because you're not going to lose that. That does mean that there's fat loss occurring, because you're not going to drop that low in water. You will jump back up to like 156 with water, but you're not, when it gets down that low, and especially in the way that we're having you do it, it's not going to be water weight. So you can count your weekly low as that's how much you weigh now. So
I like
yeah, someone told me today, and they're on this call, oh, I think I'm just dropping weight, it's water weight. I'm like, yeah, that's not happening 5 weeks in. That's weight. It's just, look up the whoosh effect. Is that what it's called, Joe? The swoosh or the whoosh effect? I think it's real. It's like this theory that your fat cells, even when they lose fat, they still retain water like for an amount of time. And until that water releases from the fat cells, like that's when you see the weight loss drop.
Yeah, that's when you see those 3-pound drops.
Yeah.
I don't lose weight like that. I've never had that happen, but some people do. So we all lose it differently. And that's the other thing. You're going to learn how you lose weight, and then you're going to know next time you want to do this, like what's working, if something is working or not, and just how your body operates. So, okay. Well, let us know if you have any questions or how we can help you. We're here to help. Like I said, when it gets to the bitter end, we have a lot of tricks up our sleeve, but none of you will have to do what Lauren and I have ever done. Like the last month of a competition is nothing you will ever have to do. That's a good thing. So, but strangely enough, until then, it's pretty much the same. I mean, people will say like, well, I'm not a bodybuilder. That's the science is the same. I'm telling you, if keto, Whole30, weird juice detoxes, fasting, if any of that shit worked, Weight Watchers, bodybuilding coaches would have their clients do it, and they don't. That is not utilized by any bodybuilding coach I know. Now there are some bad coaches, but they don't do any of that stuff. It will not get weight off in the way that you want. So just know that. So, okay. Well, thank you all for coming.
Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.